Hey guys, so this is a story about how I ended up living in my van traveling the country. So it all started back when I was about 18. I was living in a low-income apartment with a bunch of sketchy people. It was people with drug issues and mental health issues and just low-income people that were living in a state of desperation. And it was really a living hell, and I was having a hard time accepting that I was paying all that money for rent, living in a place I didn't want to live. So I thought about moving into my car, and my parents downplayed it as a terrible idea, and they were worried about me and on and on. So I kind of forgot about it for many years. So flash forward to when I was 27, I was living with a Romanian dude that I had met in an existentialism class at college, and it was his mother's condo that she owned in a nicer part of town. It was a nice place, and he was a cool guy. I liked spending time with him. But I felt trapped. I was going to college and I was switching majors every 6 months, and I felt this tremendous pressure, like I had to figure out what I was going to do for the rest of my life right then. And I didn't even feel like I knew myself that well. Like it was this tremendous pressure. It was so uncomfortable, and I was just going through the motions of going to school and hanging out with friends, and that was pretty much it. I didn't really feel alive. I felt lost. You know, I felt like something big was missing from my life, and I had to discover what that is. But my motorcycle was my only vehicle, and every chance I got, I would go out and just explore the back roads and go places I've never been and just see what it's like. And that's when I really felt alive. That's when I felt fulfilled, and I was out of my comfort zone. I was exploring myself. I was exploring the world. I mean, even though I wasn't going that far from home. You know, and eventually that turned into weekend camping trips to places that were pretty far away within the state of Oregon. This all takes place in Portland, Oregon. And sometimes to Washington. I went up to Seattle a couple times. And that eventually led me to decide to move out of my apartment and move into my motorcycle and travel to New Orleans. I was going to ride my sport bike, which was extremely uncomfortable to ride for more than like an hour and a half at a time. I was going to ride it to New Orleans. And so I started, and the first probably week or two was incredible. I had never felt so alive. I had this incredible sense of adventure, and everything was just absolutely amazing. But I was camping the whole time. I only had enough money to get halfway there and to get hotel rooms maybe once a week to catch a shower and a comfortable place to sleep. Otherwise, I was camping at BLM land and National Forest or wherever I could find to sleep. And after that first week or so, I started to feel really overwhelmed. I never got to really relax or be comfortable anywhere. This was in July, so it was wicked hot. And I ended up going through Death Valley and almost died of heat exhaustion, but luckily a guy let me sleep in his hotel room, which isn't nearly as sketchy as it sounds. He was actually an incredible guy. And so I got to about Colorado or New Mexico, like right on the border, and I decided, you know what, I can't do this. I feel so overwhelmed, and I'm so tired, and I just need to rest and recharge, and this is just too much. So on my way back, I started thinking about, okay, I want to live on the road. I want to do this. I don't think that stop sign's for me. But how do I do this on the motorcycle without much money? And I decided to get a van, or maybe I was also looking at Subarus and like minivans and any kind of vehicle, maybe even a Class C RV, to figure it out. So I went back, and I had lost my apartment because I had moved out. So I stayed with my parents for a couple months, and I ended up selling my motorcycle and got this van, this 2001 Chevy Astro, and I was so eager to go and to get out and to get back on the road that I bought the first van that I went out to look at, and it had 220,000 miles on it, and it had been severely neglected. When I tried it out at the lot, it ran great, and then as soon as I bought it and took it off the lot, it had all kinds of problems. Oh, that's one way, don't go there. So I ended up, I paid $1,600 for the van, and I had to put another probably about $2,000 into getting it running right and roadworthy. So I did a bunch of research, watched a bunch of other van dweller videos on YouTube, and a couple months later, I had enough stuff with the solar panel set up and everything where I thought that it would be cool to take off. So I took off, and I went straight back to Death Valley because that was the place I went that really scared me. And every night I had a panic attack. I had severe anxiety, just terrible anxiety. and my mind was not right. Like I was believing my imagination. Every night I imagined some scenario where somebody pulled into the BLM land where I was parked and tried to kill me, or I was in the Walmart and something terrible happened, or coyotes broke into my van and ate me or something. Just ridiculous ideas that are almost impossible, or at least like so unlikely that they wouldn't happen. So I went back home. My cortisol levels were through the roof. I was so stressed out. So for the next couple months, and also the van was backfiring and misfiring, and the steering was really bad. Going highway speeds, it would go all over the place, and it was just pretty bad. So the next 3 months, I rebuilt the inside of the van. I got the van running right, but most of all, I worked on my head, and I explored myself, and I was at my parents', so I didn't have to pay rent for a little while, so all the money was going to fixing up the van, and the rest of the time it was working on me, figuring out how to break free out of this anxiety, because I wanted so bad to feel like I was fulfilled and free and happy again, but I couldn't even leave the house for like 2 months. The anxiety was so bad. Just going to the grocery store gave me a panic attack. And so I eventually learned all these tools. I listened to all these guys. I listened to Tony Robbins. I listened to the Buddha. I found this Australian Buddhist monk who made all these awesome videos on YouTube that I watched. And I just took it all in and really redefined what everything meant inside of my head, and got my van ready. And this time I was finally ready. I felt just completely unstoppable, and I was ready to go. And I left, and the first place I made it to was Nashville, Tennessee, and I made it there in like 7 days from Portland, Oregon. I just wanted to get out and get as far away from home as possible, and ran out of money for a little while, stayed with a friend, got some money, and the rest is history. So if you're thinking about living in your van or doing this, do it. It's the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. I feel so free and happy. I have time to think. I have time to recreate myself and become the best version of myself. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way through this, give yourself a pat on the back, because that was, it feels like that was like an hour. But yeah, thank you so much.